Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And the Junior Springboks have made it 3 out of 3 in the pool stages of the Under-20 series as they bullied Georgia and beat them 42 points to 0. It wasn't quite all easy sailing for the Junior Boks, who started off pretty poorly, and Georgia definitely had an opportunity in the sort of the early stages of the game to try and stamp their authority, but unable to try and convert that pressure into points. The Junior Springboks had to sort of weather a bit of a storm and wait for the bench to come on and make quite a big impact. But at the end of the day, the main thing was to get all points. It was horrible conditions down at Stellenbosch, very wet, very cold, very muddy, and the worst conditions to try and play a nice, attractive rugby in. And playing against Georgia side, which was very physical, it was never going to be a very easy game. But very impressive performance, and I think that's kind of the main thing, I suppose, that we need to sort of focus on. So yeah, let me know what you thought of the game down in the comments below. Smash like on the video as well. We will be live tonight for our new show talking about the Lions squad. And that's the Emirates Lions squad that's been named for the test this week. Well, the match against the Lions this weekend. The Sharks have also named their second lineup for the Currie Cup. Springboks currently in limbo about Georgia. We're talking all about that tonight. But in terms of this game, so it started off very, very messy. The conditions weren't great, and we kind of expected them to really sort of struggle. And that's exactly what happened. But we didn't really expect the Junior Boks to struggle as much as they were. So, credit to Georgia, who made them work for the points, because I think that it was a difficult, this is a Georgia side that was pumped by Argentina, then beaten by Uruguay, so confidence is quite low. Fitness-wise, they've been a little bit off it, so for them to start off in the way they did was very impressive. Their scrums were immense. They were putting the Junior Boks under a lot of pressure at scrum time. The lines were looking pretty good, and territory at the end of the first half was actually in favor of Georgia, who had really sort of put a lot of pressure on the Junior Boks. They had an opportunity to try and take a 3-0 lead, with their fly half missing, unfortunately for them, before Delvin Blood scored the first points of the game. Junior Boks getting into the Georgian half for the first sort of time, really, and after a couple of phases, Delvin Blood saw a huge opening down the left-hand side, picked up and went, and nobody was going to touch him. Very, very quick is Delvin Blood. He opened the scoring, and after that, the Junior Boks kind of just grew into the game. They still were very poor with the discipline. They conceded 10 penalties in the first half, had a yellow card as well, and that was given to Reinhard Muten for the continuous infringements. But it was Henko van Wyk who eventually went over for the Junior Boks inside the first half, scoring a try. He scored 2 tries today, went over in the second half as well. So the halftime score was 14 points to 0, with the Junior Boks doing very well, especially after they went down to 14 men, of trying to keep it a bit more simple and going back to basics, because they were being bullied. They were literally being bullied at one stage by Georgia. Second half came, a couple of replacements, and I thought that George Kinnear and Andre Hugo Venter, as well as Corne Weilbach, made a huge difference. All of a sudden, the scrum sort of turned. Andre Hugo Venter must have carried the ball at least about 12 times in the second half, always finding meters when he did. He looks like a really good player. Son of Andre Venter, the Springbok legend. So a very promising player. Lots of excitement in and around him. But I thought they were very impressive. And, it was a big sort of shift in momentum when they suddenly started winning the line-out, started winning the scrums. And, Georgia, who had been in the game, even at 14-0, was very much in the game, suddenly looked like a Georgian side that was very far off this Junior Springbok side, as they kind of ran try open to try over try. George Kinnear, coming off the bench, still managed to grab himself a brace. Henko van Wyk also grabbing himself a second try. Try of the day probably went to, there were 2 very nicely worked tries. First of all, Andre Hugo Venter set up Nico Steyn with a very big handoff against the Georgian number 12 to create some space, and sucked a few players in, then an inside ball to Bradley Davis, Nico Steyn. And then the last try was also very well worked. Kick over the top to Delvin Blood, who then lined up as opposite number, stepped away from him. Inside ball was to Bradley Davis, who sucked a player in. Inside ball to George Kinnear. And so, it's reassuring, I suppose, that when the better players, the big sort of players came off the bench, they made a really big difference. So probably a little bit worrying for Bafana Atletico that, some of these fringe players, something like Sacha Ngomazulu, who was on debut today, a very exciting player, struggled a little bit. And from the looks of it, they won't be having Jordan Hendricks for the game on Saturday, because he will be going and joining up with the Emirates Lions. He's been named in the squad for the British and Irish Lions game. So, that number 10 spot very much up for grabs. But at the end of the day, it was job done. It was all about getting the points. And I think that this Junior Boks side has shown quite a lot of aspects of their game over the past sort of 3 games. It was a very good game against Argentina, where we saw some of the really good big players stepping up. It's been a very interesting experience to see some of these players sort of grow, some of the players really taking the opportunities. Some very talented players in this Junior Springbok side, as there always is. And it looks like Bafana Athletico's got them playing some decent rugby. Looked like some very good game management towards the end as well. So we've seen lots of different sort of aspects and sort of signposting across the last 3 games to kind of give us an idea of where this junior Springbok side is. And it's very difficult to sort of see where they are playing against Georgia, Uruguay, and Argentina. But I think that game against Argentina, and hopefully we'll see a similar performance on Saturday, shows you that they seem to be in a decent space. And hopefully whenever we get to the Under-20 championships and we start playing against some of the best of the world, this squad will be in a relatively good place. A couple of very good youngsters coming through, even youngsters being sort of turning 19 as opposed to 19 going on to 20. But a very good game. Job done. Was very messy. The conditions didn't allow for good rugby, and as a result, we didn't see it. But it's 3 out of 3, and that's the main thing. Let me know what you thought of the game. Smash a like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you guys all soon.